All right, welcome back to another episode of the Dreamers Podcast, episode 4. And this is the first episode where we, instead of bringing one guest, we have 2 guests. And these guests are really special because they're part of this group that Munib and I have been watching for the last 4 years of our undergraduate years. And as always, I'm Asfad Musa, your co-host.
And I'm Munib Rahman, and we're bringing on 2 people that have built a platform for the future of medicine.
Was started as a group of 10 medical students originally at Texas A&M College of Medicine, have been grown into the social media channel of over 500,000 of followers across all platforms. So, and that the group is Medschoolboiz. I'm pretty sure all of y'all have seen their videos, especially Aaron up here. So he's very famous on social media. Pretty sure everybody has looked at him on your For You page.
And then also Surya, I feel like you were right there with him. Like, I feel like both of y'all have been the faces of Medschoolboiz that we've seen growing up, or not growing up, but like throughout our undergrad.
Hey, making us feel old now. Come on now.
We're not that old. But I also want to congratulate both of y'all. Y'all just got matched into residency. Dr. Chinamatevi and Dr. Vangalil.
That's crazy.
He nailed the last name.
That's the first time. That's actually the first time someone's called me that.
Funny thing is, I was practicing last night. And then
you called me. You was like, how do you pronounce their names? I was like, ask them, please. But also, again, I wanted to congratulate you for getting matched at UTMB in psychiatry, and then you internal medicine at UT Health Houston. I feel that's a big deal and like inspiration for like a lot of us growing up.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Welcome to the Dreamers, guys.
Yes, absolutely. So happy to be here.
Let's get straight into it. My first question to you guys is, why medicine? Like, was there a person, or was there someone who influenced you, or just like a passion for medicine? What was the reason you guys both decided to do medicine?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of hard to answer that with like one like really like concrete answer. I think growing up, I was very fortunate to have certain people in my life that were, physicians. And I remember when I was in high school, I had no idea or intention of going into medicine in the first place, but one of my family friends, anesthesiologist, was like, just come into the OR, like do the paperwork you need to do and just come with me for a day. And that was kind of my opening to it. But, I'm not going to sit here and talk about it for 1 hour and give you the med school interview answer. But I think I just, people always thought medicine, or at least for me, they kind of viewed it as a stable, career that it's, you do the steps, you're there. And like, it was kind of in a good way, brought stability, but was very, I guess, one-dimensional. I just didn't see it like that. I thought, I'm like, oh, crap, if I'm a doctor, I can be a teacher, I can be a scientist, I can be an advocate for my patients, like I can be, I guess now an influencer in a way, right? I just saw it as a kind of limitless career, perhaps differently than it was, I guess, marketed to me by, in the DACE community, people mean well, obviously, right? Yeah. But the way it's marketed to, kids is it's this path of stability, right? So I just didn't see it in that way. I saw it in the lens that I was just talking about it with. So I was like, this is pretty cool. I feel like I don't have to be boxed in as just this caretaker of patients. I feel like I can do so much more with it. So that was kind of my kind of drive for going in with it. And I feel fortunate that I've stuck with that, and I still feel the same way about it.
There was no pressure from family or anything.
No, dude, you would think growing up in a Desi, I'm really, growing up in a Desi household, my parents actually, to be quite frank with you, my mom strayed me away from it initially because she just thought it was too much schooling, and she's like, don't you want to get settled earlier? You feel like you're going to make a lot of sacrifices. So my parents have never forced me down that path, and
that's amazing.
I know in the Desi community, it's hard to believe, right? But no, I feel blessed. My parents have been so fortunate in that way.
That's good. You're passionate about it. I think that's one thing you want to see in a doctor. Because your doctor's like passion, right?
Oh, definitely. I feel grateful that even after the years of med school, I still feel that passion to this day. I don't think that if anything, it's increased in a lot of ways, and I don't feel that diminished with it.
And Aaron?
For me, so it's kind of funny how you talked about like, was like Surya forced into it, or were we forced in it? For sure not. At least for me, like I actually was, grew up in a family where a lot of like my cousins and family members, even my mom was a physician, and my sister, she's also a pediatrician at this point. So I always, from a young age, was growing up kind of observing her day to day, and I remember she would always like come home and talk like about her patients and like the impact she would make on her patients, and almost like as if it was like extended family. Yeah. So it always piqued my interest, but I wasn't like set on it completely growing up, and there was never any pressure like, hey, you have to like be this, because I couldn't imagine, and Suri and I, we all noticed like we couldn't have gone through 4 years of med school if we were forced into this. And I think that goes for anyone who was like forced into this because of like maybe like the influencer or Daisy parents like, hey, you have to be a doctor. Impossible in my opinion. But for me, it was like when I was in high school, trying to figure out if I want to actually pursue medicine, I went to go shadow a physician named Dr. Wynn. And I remember how he pretty much every patient he interacted with, beyond like the physical diagnosis and how he was working them up, he actually spent time to get to know them on a very personal level. And it was actually like amazing to watch how they were almost, in a sense, like extended family for him at the end of the day. And it was like long-term relationships that he made with his patients. And I was like, you know what, I want to do that for that reason. I want to be a physician who makes long-lasting, long-term relationships with his patients, but also with having like the primary responsibility for taking care of them. So that's primarily the reason why I went into medicine in the first place. I think it was from that shadowing experience.
I want to copy and paste some of the answer and include it in mine, so I'm doing that.
That response is really good.
Yeah.
And I feel like also a lot of people think like, oh, you're going into medicine is because of the money part, but technically, if you look at it, you don't even end up making money until like so far down the road. Mm-hmm. So if it was just about the money, a lot of the med students won't even go that route. And so it's nice to have this type of passion that you two have, and it's beautiful. So.
Oh, 1,000%, man. If you just take a little bit of time, do the math, and like compare it to other career paths in terms of investment. Yeah, exactly. To your point,
you may end up making more money in a different field.
Exactly.
If it was just about the money.
Exactly. 1,000%.
So great. So following up with that, how did Medschoolboiz really start? Like, was it like a sudden thing, the first day of like orientation and y'all met, you were like, let's do this? Or was it something planned beforehand?
I feel like at this point it's sacrilegious for me to even answer this question if Aaron is sitting next to me. So he's got to answer it, and I'll fill in the gaps.
So before med school, I very much liked making like videos in general. And I think we talked about this off camera. Like I had a car review page with my friends in undergrad. So we would just make videos where we went around dealerships in the Dallas area and just like would make videos of like all types of cars, from like the Kias to Aston Martins to Lamborghinis.
He would never discriminate too. I would see a Camry. He would review a Camry the same way he would review like a Porsche.
So like that's passion right there.
So I developed a knack and like a passion for videography then, and it was a way for me to kind of like decompress during undergrad and the pre-med journey. Yeah. And when I got into med school, I was like, you know what? Let me just continue making videos for fun, just to relax and disconnect from like the stresses of med school. So it started in our first day, like our white coat ceremony, where we got like the guys, and I was like, hey, let me make like a transition where I snap between our normal like clothes, like our suits or whatnot, to our white coats. And we posted that video, and I posted on my personal like TikTok, and I like blew up. And I was like, oh, it was nice. And the guys were like, oh, it was funny, I blew up. And then I was sitting down with me and like my roommate Arbab at times, like, yo, what if we all just like started a page, maybe call it like the Medschoolboiz, and just like I do videos for fun and just see where it goes. Like no expectations. It was just purely for fun, just to relax and disconnect from the stresses of med school as a group collectively and just document our journey. No expectations. And that's how it started, and it has reached to the point where it is today.
Amazing. I think also like to give some context to that, you know, before our white coat ceremony and that day, our school, Texas A&M, they have like a retreat, like a first year medical student retreat. And so that's where we all kind of like really bonded in the days leading up to the white coat ceremony. So it was actually kind of nice. Like it wasn't just like Aaron came up to us and like, let's make a video with a bunch of random guys. I think we had already started to build some chemistry and like we obviously got along with our other classmates and like met some incredible people as well. But I feel like, you know, probably the group of 9 to 10 of us that we were saying, like there was like a connection, whether it was our backgrounds, how we grew up, things like that. It just felt very natural.
Man, how difficult was it to come up with the name Medschoolboiz, or was it just like?
I think it happened within like a minute. It was like,
first thing y'all came up with.
I think it's because I like another like outside of like the med school group, I had like a Malayali friend group, and I think the name of that Facebook Messenger chat was like the boys, like BOIZ. So I was like, in my head I was like med school, and then just attached that at the end. Yeah.
Nice. I mean,
I wish we had a profound answer, but like, we really don't.
No, it's good to hear. It's like just one thing, like y'all came up with
exactly.
That quick, so and it stuck too.
Yeah. And medical school is like one of the, if not the most difficult academic pathways. How are y'all able to manage a big platform like this with over 500,000 followers, and you're studying, your clinicals, board exams? Like, how did y'all manage that?
I think there's a couple of ways I can answer that. I think the biggest thing I can say is this guy, the way he structures his life in terms of the discipline he has, I think allows for a lot of it. So he obviously produces most of our content. And also he enjoys doing it. This is not something that he views as chore at all. I've never seen him make a video because he has to, right? It's always because he wants to, and he finds the time to do it. This guy, like, you're probably going to talk more about this later, but he treats med school almost like a job, right, in a very healthy way. So he prioritizes, like, this is a priority, but not the priority, right? For Aaron, like, I mean, and I, it's family, friends first, then med school and other things, and then Medschoolboiz, right? It's something we're passionate about. So I think he finds the time to prioritize other things. And honestly, a lot of our content has been short form content. So, you know, I always say you have time to shower not every day, but you make time to shower, right? You make time to use you make time to use a restroom, you make time to eat. Aaron, with his skill set, has like taught us how to make, especially me, like taking 10 minutes here and making a video and editing it, you know? I think those small investments of time like lead to like the platform that you see. But I mean, there's days that we spend several hours doing projects and things like that. But I think Aaron's discipline and how he structures his life has influenced us to kind of do the same and like take those small pockets of time and maximize the video content. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
No, I think it's fair. I think they did Brian and nail. Yeah, like in terms, I'll just briefly explain like the whole how I treated med school as a job. Like it was very much let's say in the preclinical years where you're pretty much studying in a classroom. It's kind of like almost kind of like undergrad in a way. Those first year and a half, it was like I would start my day like 8 or 9 and make sure I cut off at like 5 or 6. Because what's the point in studying, you know, like longer than that? It's like diminishing returns at a point. So I would make sure I get all the work done in that time frame. And just after that, just enjoy time with like the guys or like my girlfriend, family, and friends, and just have time to make like a video. Spend like 30 minutes making a video.
Definitely,
so that was very much how I tried to structure at least 4 years of med school, even with rotations and whatnot.
So, like, when creating a video and editing, like you said, like 30 minutes usually how it takes? Like, how long it takes?
It depends on what it is.
Like, like at least, because short form, it's so, like, you could have an idea pop in your head. Okay, for example, the recent, like, the 100 men versus gorilla video, right? The idea popped in my head, and me and my girlfriend, like, she helped me, like, record like, the shots one night. It took, from beginning to end, probably, like, 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Okay, wow.
It's short form. It's short form concept, right? That video was like probably like at most 10 to 14 seconds. And then the editing probably took like.
What about one of those videos where you guys go out in the streets and ask questions?
Oh,
like,
it varies too. It varies too. Cause I think we'll be there for like a couple of hours sometimes. Sometimes we're only there for, oh, hey, it's a late night. We have something the next morning. We'll go for 30 minutes and then we'll get whatever content we can get. Sometimes we're there for 2 hours and we'll gather whatever content we can get. So we don't go in with the set mindset of how long it's gonna take per se. And then there's the other extreme, like we've done like brand deals like Littman stethoscopes. We want to respect that partnership, and so we'll spend like half a day like filming, and if we film it we don't like it, redoing shots and brainstorming. So a lot of thought goes into something like that. So it's kind of all over the spectrum in terms of how
but in terms of the basis of what grew the platform, it was very much that short form, like less time intensive kind of concept that grew the page.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, amazing. So let's move on to the next segment.
All right, so I went through y'all's Instagram, and I know you started on TikTok first, but your first post on Instagram was October 30th, 2021. Since y'all posted that, did y'all ever expect to have such a big following or like kind of grow to where you've grown to right now?
No, not at all. Not even in like, it wasn't even a remote possibility. It truly, I don't think that idea hit us until later in our first year, right?
Yeah.
I think it was truly, like, I know it sounds cliche, but we really were just having fun with it. I think like once we started to see what it could be and where it was going, that's when we started to work with our school and like really get professional. I mean, not to take, we didn't want to take out the fun and like the you know, I guess the genuine vibes of it, but that's when we got more professional with it.
Like and try to make it more structured, pretty much.
Structured, because like when you have a platform like that, you got to be responsible with it too. And that's when we really thought about those things, but definitely at the beginning, no way. I didn't even think about it.
How you mentioned your school being helpful to you guys. How supportive was your school with the Medschoolboiz going on?
Amazing.
Yeah, no, they were very.
That was a very pleasant surprise.
Because like Surya said, it's like the platform grew and it started like out as fun, and then we had to be like more responsible with it just because of the following we started amassing. And the main concern we had was, you know, we were looking far advanced, like 4 years online. How would residency do this or whatnot? That's. For us, that was the most important thing. It wasn't like growing this platform. It was make sure we were great medical students, learning what we need to learn, and getting into a great residency. So I think we were concerned about, hey, how would our school view this? Like, or how would our, you know, or even our dean view this? But we actually got in contact with our dean, and she was very supportive of it from day one. So once we got that confirmation and that support from her, we were like, hey, we can do this. Like, as long as we're responsible, very professional with it, we can very much use it to apply to residency. And have fun with it at the end of the day.
I think our school, I give our dean a lot of credit because I think we can probably get into this stuff more, but I think media and medicine are intertwined. No matter how you feel about it, it's a reality. And so I think our school was forward thinking enough to see that our platform was fun but professional, and and that means a lot to us too, because as an institution like Texas A&M, like it's technically a risk to associate yourself with a group of guys that's just started a social media platform. You have no idea. I mean, you don't know what they're going to do with it, and like although we view it as professional and stuff, so it meant the world to us, and I'm still happy to work with them as the years go on, and we're grateful for them for that, for sure.
Right.
Kind of following up on that, like I know y'all say have big responsibility with this big platform, right? What's some like feedback / criticism y'all got that like really helps y'all improve your platform?
I got a funny story.
I mean, I was going straight up. So there was in our first year in med school, we went to Northgate. That's where we did our question videos where we asked people.
Yeah, Northgate is like in College Station. It's a area with a lot of restaurants and bars.
Okay.
Where people just go out essentially.
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent of like 6th Street in Austin, maybe.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, so Aaron and I, we don't drink.
Uh-huh.
But like we would still go because there's just a lot of energy and fun.
So
vibes.
we pretty much made questions videos there using our phone, but we didn't have like a mic attached to it, so the audio was kind of choppy.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and even the comments. I think there was one guy in the comments like, "Yo, y'all need a mic." Like, I can't like.
Well, I feel like he used some more colorful language.
Oh yeah, he probably used some more explicit language.
And initially, it's funny because like I think I was gonna bring it, and so like some of our guys were getting a little upset about it. But like you got to really separate yourself from like the emotion of it. And Aaron and I were like, I mean, he's got a point. You know what I'm saying? Like our audio stinks. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was some of the criticisms. Like it was like technical stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like
But
that people.
we got, and then we went. I think I went to Amazon or Walmart, got like a $20 like phone mic for the iPhone, the attachable. And we started making videos with the mic, and audio was a lot better.
Yeah.
I think it helped. Like now, ever since that, like I prioritize like making sure the audio is good. Where we have like DJI mics or any mic setup. So if it wasn't for a comment like that, I don't know if we would have ever used like.
No,
mics.
I mean,
it was constructive.
Your
feedback.
followers,
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
they know what's going on. You know.
Yeah.
And like y'all know how to
them.
take that too. It's like you weren't mad about it. You were like, okay, we could work on this. So that's always great.
100%. Like I think if you get into that game of thinking that people on social media know who you are and you take it personal, you're losing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to really just like see if there's something credible in what they're saying and take out the colorful language and the tone and stuff like that. But
I like that. No, shout out to our production guy Mukati, because he gave us the same thought when we were starting this podcast. He said there will be hate comments, and all you have to do is just listen to them, see what they're trying to say, and sometimes it would be genuine advice for you. So listen to it, work on it, and make your product better.
yeah,
sometimes
he seemed like
language.
a wise guy. You know, when I saw
I
him.
mean, there also will be like hate comments that are just like not productive like at all, and you can't take it personally. It's like you just, like you said, you analyze it. Is there anything of value here that I need to address and like probably change in terms of how I make content?
Yeah.
If not, move on. As long as you're not harming anyone, spreading misinformation, and just like being positive and having fun. That's how it should.
We've been fortunate too. We haven't really gotten. I can count it probably on one hand, like the really extreme hate comments we've gotten that I've seen at least. That I've seen.
Now
All right,
y'all
so
are doing an amazing
amazing job, of course. So this is a question about like how y'all balanced social media with med school. Were the pressures from like content creation ever clash with like the pressure from med school ever for you guys?
I never felt pressure in terms of making content. I think the only pressure I felt was, people say don't care what other people think and do things.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a fair way to go about life fully. So I bring that up because initially when we were making content, I feel like some of our classmates, we wouldn't get hate per se, but some of them wouldn't vibe with how we were going about things. Because at the end of the day, right, like we were associated with Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And as we grew, people would kind of talk to them and be like, oh, like, you think the med school boys are making med school seem chill? Like, I thought med school was supposed to be hard, right?
Yeah.
And we had very honest conversations with some of our classmates. So I think I didn't feel pressure necessarily, because like for us, it was all fun, right?
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate that we've just been able to find time and like make that time and do it for fun. It was like really an outlet for us, right?
Yeah.
But I think if I ever felt pressure initially, it was because of that, because I wanted my classmates to respect us, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't want to ever put our classmates in a bad position. And luckily, as the content evolved, I think they also started to see the value in it. And in fact, they felt like it made their school look like it was in a good light too, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
so
like promotion kind of thing.
yeah,
Like,
promotion.
promotion.
And once they got to know us, they're like, oh, these guys are hardworking guys and they mean well. And so I think that pressure quickly faded with some honest
I feel like
conversations.
with the whole med school like easy part, I feel like y'all kind of showed that side of med school is like you could do other stuff because even in pre-med, like throughout my 4 years, I was scared to go to med school. It's like I'm not a studious person, right?
Yeah.
So like I gotta study, but then I looked at y'all's videos and like y'all still having fun, doing like hobbies and stuff. Like we've had like speakers say you can't sleep 8 hours every day, like telling us
Are you
that.
serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we
So,
at
like-
our student org, they came in, they were like, when you go to med school, this is not this easy. Y'all will have to struggle. Y'all will
It's
have to make
definitely
sure-
difficult.
It's
Yeah, it's
difficult.
for sure difficult. But oh man, you want to unlock a whole Pandora's
Listen,
box of the
I
conversation.
think
We can
before,
do that.
like you mentioned, like how it's like it's like it's not med school's not easy, and it's not like like there's different takes on what med school is, and there's different experiences. But the key thing here that we want to emphasize is there's not a defined experience of what med school is.
Yeah.
Like, just
Totally
because
agree.
we're able to balance med school, do Medschoolboiz on the side, and enjoy our time in med school doesn't mean that it's like that for everyone else, right? It's very
Right.
it's circumstantial. It's different. It's very much dependent. If you already know from day one, I want to do a competitive specialty.
Yeah.
I got to work
Right,
extremely hard or whatnot.
Like, if
very
Aaron and I
different.
were applying neurosurgery, right? I think the med school
been
page would look very different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe this page wouldn't have existed, right? You never know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to say. I just think it's like, yeah, everyone's experience is different. So perhaps those people that came in, like, I mean,
Probably
what they were.
different, yeah, specialty.
Yeah, so I don't even want to discount that experience, but it's
like-
definitely not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like my main thing is like it's not impossible. I feel like as long as
Exactly.
you're willing to work hard and go through it, it's not impossible.
It is-
for all our viewers out there. you know,
Yeah.
that are contemplating.
If impossible is on one side, it is way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
it is
and
very
when you
doable.
said like how you were kind of intimidated at first about even pursuing med school. So
Yeah.
it's got another reason why I think we started the page is that I remember when I got my med school acceptance, I immediately went, and this is when TikTok was like right after COVID, like taking
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, let me look at like med school stuff, and it was a lot of people just like crying.
Yeah.
And
Not to
terrible-
discount those emotions
Not to
too,
discount
right?
the
Like, I'm
emotions,
sure they were
but
really
it was
going
like,
through it, yeah.
Granted, it was very intimidating, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna start med school, and it's like, wow, this is what my 4 years of med school is gonna be like.
No.
But and from our experience, I'm glad that for the next generation coming up, we're allowed to give that possible outlook of what med school could look like for y'all to, maybe even consider pursuing
Yeah, dude,
medicine
and-
even more.
And you mentioned you're not like that student. Dude, I was such a bad student my freshman
Yeah.
year of like a really bad student. Like I didn't know, like people would look at how I studied and be like, this guy's not getting into med
Yeah.
school, right? So there's like so much room for growth and yeah.
You also mentioned, I saw a video where you said for you, undergrad was more difficult than med school. Right?
Yeah, that's how, again, same thing. That's how I feel personally. Yeah. And I think it's not that med school is easier. It's that you just grow so
You-
much,
you
right?
build, like nice habits to follow through. And, like,
Yeah,
study
exactly. I
patterns.
feel like if med school is here in difficulty and undergrad is like a little lower, I think my study habits and discipline was like here in med school and was like probably here in undergrad. So right, it's like it's not a black and white conversation for sure.
All right, let's move on to the next segment.
Perfect. So, Aaron, psychiatry. Congrats on that.
Thank you, thank
what,
you.
What made you want to... First of all, was that your first
No.
pick? No? You didn't think it was going to be psychiatry?
Oh my god.
So, what made you want to go into it?
So day one in med school, I was like, if I could think of doing anything right now, maybe neurology, because I had like a passion in terms of like the brain and pathology, and I experienced like a concussion.
I can tell
And,
from the videos you put on
yeah,
the Medschoolboiz.
Yeah, so I always thought, maybe neurology, but psychiatry was my like last rotation at med school, and I remember just sitting down with like the first patient I had and just talking to them for a whole hour and getting to know them very like on a very very personal level. The same reason why I went to medicine in the first place, right? I think we mentioned how I went into it for like the long term relationships. I was like, wow, of all the fields, and all the rotations, I feel like this is where this scenario and patient dynamic very much matched the initial reason why I went to medicine in the first place. And it very much aligned with my prior interest in neurology.
Yeah.
So the pivot was like not crazy at all. And I also liked like the neuropharmacology and the management and kind of difficulties of coming up with a treatment plan for the patients. But at the foundation of all that, it was mainly the ability to get to know my patients on a very deep personal level, have a whole hour, and not feel pressured to really get through my visit to work them up on in terms of a physical diagnosis. So that's kind of reason why I switched to psychiatry. I remember I had like an identity crisis where I came home and I talked to my roommate Arba. I was like, is this it? Like, does this make sense? Like, why I'm switching? Like, should I switch? I was like, it was kind of nervous, but then I immediately switched from that first day in my psychiatry rotation. I think 3 months out from applications, and
It was one of the Aaron called me, and it was probably I was like absolutely floored, right? And then after he because I thought he was applying neurology all this time, right? But then after we had like a long phone call and hearing his reasoning and like his thought process, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like he's gonna be a phenomenal psychiatrist. Like I can totally see it.
I appreciate
That's a great compliment.
Yeah.
No, psychiatry is really, it sounds really amazing, because there was a time when I was thinking about it too. And I mean, I was trying to get to shadow a psychiatrist, but never did. But hey, who knows? I'll get to shadow you.
4 or 5 years, bro. Say less.
But, and Surya, internal medicine, was that your first pick? And what made you want to pick that specialty?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't my first pick. I came into med school wanting to do family medicine. For a lot of the same reasons Aaron said, I always thought that an outpatient clinic setting would be the best way to connect with patients and build long-term relationships. And for internal medicine, you're spending most of your time, like the difference is you're spending most of your time taking care of very sick patients in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And so I just assumed, like, how can you get close to patients, like, on that same level, right? There's no way. But I think after I went through my rotations, I felt that they call it, like, the inpatient setting, right? I was seeing patients for a couple of days at a time. I was seeing them for a couple of months at a time. I was seeing them for a couple of weeks at a time, different time frames. And I felt that I was still establishing really nice relationships with my patients. And I never found one particular field of medicine interesting. I feel like it's all cool. Like I know some people find like the GI system really cool and the pathologies there, or like the cardiac system. For me, it was all cool, right? So I couldn't even decide on a specialty that I could focus on. So I was like, wow, internal medicine, I'm getting to see everything. And I'll have the opportunity to explore if I want to do like further fellowship training, right? Like right now, oncology has been really interesting to me, but still keeping an open mind, and I can stay general if I want to. And then like the inpatient setting is so cool, right? I'm getting to see patients for like different time periods and connect with them. And so it just changed my perspective. And I was like, yeah, I think internal medicine is the way for me to go. And I don't think I'm married to the game. You know, I'm not like married to medicine. So I personally was never stressed about picking the wrong specialty. I really enjoyed all my rotations. So I was like, let's just do it. Like, I think this just feels right. And for some of those reasons.
Amazing. And I know you and your wife will be both going to the same
Yeah,
residency program at UTL Houston.
Yeah.
Was that her first field or first pick as well?
No. She had interest in other fields. I think dermatology was an interest that she had. I think her reasons, you know, I don't want to speak too much on her behalf, but she was like, I just love the depth of medicine I get to experience in internal medicine. She's definitely like, I mean, she's so smart. She's definitely smarter than me, for sure. So she was just like, I feel like as an internal medicine physician, I get to like take care of patients on like just a multitude of levels, and that's so fascinating for me. And I was like, that's amazing, because now when I'm in residency, I can just call her up, you know, if I need help or something. So she's you know, I was like, that's good to hear. So yeah, I think she went through her own journey with that as well, and she's super happy and excited for it.
Good to know. And I know Aaron has some family members in medicine already. Do you as well, or are you the first gen?
No, I'm the first. Yeah, no one in my immediate family is in medicine. Like cousins, and I'm sure if I like went far enough in the cousin line, I'd find someone. We're Desi, bro. You know what I'm saying? But no one in my immediate family or even like my close extended family is in medicine. But I was fortunate enough to have like really close family friends that like brought me into it. So I still got to experience it. I would say like one of the people I consider almost like my godmother. She's an cardiac anesthesiologist, and she was the one I mentioned like before we started recording that really kind of gave me the into medicine. So yeah, I would say no, first gen. Yeah.
That's great. So my next question to both of you, I mean, both of y'all clearly had strong CVs during your time in med school, with Medschoolboiz going on, research work going on, the board exams, step exams that y'all took, clinical rotations. What was the most difficult part about medical school that was not academic?
For me, I would say it's how I've kept up with my relationships. I still really prioritize it and try to do a good job of it. And I still feel like my friends would vouch for me and say I still did a decent job of it. But I'm a big, you know, like I'm talking to one of my friends or family members every day, right? In college, it was 20-minute phone calls, 30-minute phone calls. And I had 3 roommates in college for most of my college experience at U of H. So I was always connected with someone, and I felt like social interaction and checking up on friends was a big part of it. Yeah. I think in med school, you don't get the luxury. I mean, you know, we were talking about, you know, you can definitely have a life, but you're making sacrifices, right? So I'm not getting that hour phone call with friends to the frequency I want to as much, or talking to my parents and family as much. So I think for me, the adjustment, I used to tackle that. I'm a big voice memo guy now. Yeah. So I would like, you know, if I'm coming out of the hospital, like after a long day, I'd, you know, let's just say it's Aaron. Hey, Aaron, what's up, man? Just got out, you know, got totally wrecked today, you know, like missed, like went 0 for 10 on PIM questions. It was a rough day. But I hope you're doing well, man. I know, I know your birthday party's coming up. You know, what's the scene for that? You know, hey, talk to you later, right? 2-3 minutes. You know, receive, and so that's kind of how I would adjust to that. But it's not the same as like talking to someone, being there. So I think that was the toughest part for sure. You just are making sacrifices inherently with loved ones. For me, at least, that's what it was.
Your family understood that as well, right? Because they know.
Amazing, yeah, amazing. They understand it. Like I feel very blessed. My family and my friends. No one even. They would even like be like, yo, you don't even have to call me right now or do anything. But yeah, even though they understand, it doesn't make it any easier on you, right?
Sure.
For sure.
And that's great to know because I am a type of person as well. I know by the time I get into medical school, I've always been very close to my family and friends and like that. Having that face-to-face conversation every time, every day, getting to see them.
Yeah.
That's a big part of my life. So I know like seeing you go through that stage, it does inspire me. Like it's
I'm glad,
possible.
man. Yeah, you find ways to adapt and connect with them. You know.
Great. And Aaron.
No, I mean for sure, it was very much like the family and like the personal relationships too. Specifically, like my girlfriend and I, we started dating like right before I got into med school. And I know like it's so funny. Like we talked about this, how our relationship was like evolved during my time in med school. Like before I got into med school, like when I got my pre-match acceptance, I was like, oh great, now I'm gonna be med school, and I had all the time in the world where we could spend time with each other and hang out, and she would get my 100% like nearly undivided attention, right? Because I'm just relaxing before I start med school. The hardest thing was when I started med school was trying to figure out how to balance my time in med school, balance time with like these guys like the Medschoolboiz, hanging out with them, making videos and spending time with her. It was very much a process of trying to navigate that whole process and figure out where I should divvy up time and whatnot. And over like this 4 years, I'd made sure it was like I understood like, and like in terms of a relationship with med school, you gotta for sure prioritize like your relationships with like your loved ones, my girlfriend, my family and friends.
Yeah.
Everything else comes secondary to that. You can't put like your studies, your hobbies, and the things you're passionate about before like your family and friends. So that's what I learned in terms of like my 4 years in med school. It was very much how to really prioritize like my relationships with my like loved ones, my girlfriend, and my family and friends, and then everything else should come secondary to that. So it was very much a learning curve from day one in med school, at least in my first like year and a half in med school.
I'm gonna refine my answer because you mentioned you mentioned your girlfriend, and I realized that I totally forgot to mention that I was in a long distance relationship for nearly 7 years. So Lakshmi, if you see this, this is for her, right? I gotta make sure I mentioned that.
We'll edit it out.
Yeah. No, it's fine. But no, I would say, I mean, I still think I kind of hit on it, right?
You brought it up. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You got it.
And we talked about her before as well.
Yeah. I love you, Lakshmi. I love you.
Yeah. No, Rose, if you watch it, she's like, you bet I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful answers. And then last one from me is, Surya, I found this online that you attended this. You were part of Camp Kesem, which is it's an institution that helps kids with parents affected by cancer.
Right.
What did that experience teach you, and how did that help you in becoming the doctor you want to become?
Ooh, that is one of my favorite questions I've ever been asked. I'd never been asked that on any Medschoolboiz related podcast. Wow, that is such a good question.
Thank you.
I think it may be an obvious lesson that we all know but have to experience to learn, but I think a lot of times being in the presence of someone without saying or doing anything makes all the difference in the world. I feel like a lot of these children that I got to work with had pretty tragic experiences with loved ones, and only God knows like what they like went through, right? And some of their parents were alive, when we worked with them, but obviously some had passed due to cancer. And a lot of times you get in this mindset of what do I need to do? Like what action do I have to spend with them? What do I have to say to them? Do I have the right words to like grieve with them properly, or the right words, like if they mention, even like younger kids, right? Oh, I like really miss my mom now, or I really miss my dad right now. Like, what do I say? But I think through working with a lot of them, I realized you don't really have to always say the right thing or do the right thing. Just being in their presence for a few minutes and just being there for someone in that physical presence, like, can change their outlook on anything. And I think it just taught me a lot about communication styles. I think like now with patients, I'm not always, when I started out med school, I think I would try to like always like, oh, they just told me this, like, what do I have to say, right? But sometimes you don't even have to say anything. Just being there in their like presence, I guess, is my answer short term. Like I think presence and it can go a long way. And I think that's what that experience taught me for sure.
You sound like a psychiatrist, man.
Yeah.
No,
That was a
man.
beautiful answer. I swear to God, like,
Yeah.
look, you
I don't know.
answer up.
No,
Beautiful answer.
yeah, I think, that's something I'm going to carry with me for sure. Even with my wife, sometimes you don't always got to say that, you don't always have to give an answer, right? You just got
Just making sure
to
you
presence, right? Just being there and listening.
Great response.
Yeah, great response.
Let's move on to the next segment.
All right, so as you guys recently graduated and are going to transition into residency, how do you see Medschoolboiz evolving in the future now?
I feel like we're the way I always answer that is we've been getting a lot of questions about this. Oh, like the journey's over. Yeah, I feel like
Residency boys, yeah.
no. I feel like Aaron, you could probably add to this. I feel like it'll always be Medschoolboiz.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're just getting started. That's how I feel.
Okay,
right?
okay.
And maybe we won't have some of the same content. Like with all of us in med school, you naturally are going to make content together more frequently. But I think now,
different cities and everything.
yeah, I think like we forget like now we're residents. There's a whole perspective there. He's in psychiatry, I'm in internal medicine, and we've got guys that'll be entering residency next year, right? And so fortunately, both of us are at programs that are very open-minded to social media and love what we've done, which is why I think we're at the programs we're at.
Yeah,
a big part of the reason why we're at those programs. So, I mean, documenting our days when we have time, talking to making videos with our co-residents if they're comfortable with it. I think there's just untapped potential there. And then medical education, now we're residents, so we're one step closer to, I think credibility is an important thing, right? We're going to see more patients, gain more knowledge, speaking on health issues. I feel like there's just a whole like realm to tap into. I don't know. You feel the same way? Aaron?
No, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, we have MDs at the end of our name. There's more responsibility now to make like more educational content for our patients and whatnot. And as we get through these 4 years of residency, we're very much going to work closely with like our faculty and attendings and making education videos. At least that's what I plan on doing with UTMB. But outside, and I also want to emphasize like our page, it's very much a multifaceted page, right? Like we're not strictly medicine. We talk about medicine because that's how we started and that's what everyone knows us for. But we're very outside of medicine. We're, in my opinion, like for me personally, we're very passionate about cars, basketball, and whatnot. So I plan on talking about all that stuff, like during my
Continue
time
doing
in
it.
residency. Because I think it's important as like future physicians to not come off as intimidating to your patients. You want to come off as like relatable. Like if I go to see like my doctor or whatnot, I want to be like, hey, I think I could have a conversation with this guy outside of that patient, doctor relationship because we relate. He's very relatable and I can talk to him about like anything. And I feel like if I had that relationship with my doctor, I could trust him with anything. So I think it's very important for me to document my passions and hobbies outside of medicine, even like throughout residency and maybe as an attending because
Right.
like we're not just like doctors at the end of the day. We're like we said, we're human beings.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to emphasize that as we make content in the future.
Yeah, I think like doctors like should be respected, but I don't think like when doctors are put on this pedestal and like it creates intimidation. I am not a fan of that whole culture, right? I think like Aaron said, there's like respect, like they've done their training, they've really gone through a lot, they've got knowledge, and you should respect their opinion. If you feel, but yeah, like you're human, and there should be that blend, you know what I mean, of like professionalism and like humanity.
We're looking forward to keeping up with all the content you guys put out. So
Yeah, to kind of follow up on that is like y'all kind of said how you're gonna try to do a day in the life as a doctor. I feel like it'd be very educational, kind of see the residency path, like do vlogs, that type of stuff, right?
Definitely,
Y'all planning
definitely.
on
No,
doing
that's
that?
right. There was this guy we found recently on TikTok. I'm just gonna give him a shout out. Gids, he's like an ortho resident. I'm a huge fan of how he documents like his day in the life as an ortho resident.
I've seen this.
I see
And I
his
watch it
videos.
and like I found him was like his content is like amazing. So
Entertaining, yeah.
I plan like whenever I get into residency to make something very similar to that. Like he would be definitely a huge like inspiration in terms of like the vlog format, in terms of the timestamps.
Yeah.
That's one thing I could imagine already making for myself. in
Absolutely.
residency.
And I think it's definitely something where I know there's going to be days where we can't do it, because things will be so busy, but we'll definitely have to find time and, make it happen.
Great.
All right. So next question. So there's like a stigma about medical students that like, we kind of talked about like sometimes like it seems a little too hard. What's something that gets overlooked or misunderstood about like med students? Like, is there like a lot of emotional toll or sacrifices behind the scenes that are like, you have to like perform? Is there like a certain stigma you think like people have that you might want to break?
Yeah, I'm sure if I thought about it, I could think of a couple things. But for me, the thing that immediately comes to mind is that med students are smarter than the rest of people. Like, I think, I feel like majority, I'm not saying that there's no baseline level of intellect involved in like being a doctor and like going through medical school. I just feel like after meeting so many med students, to me, I just feel like the common thread is just how hard they work and what they're willing to put in. I think that's the separating factor. But I think the intellect thing is not, like, I don't think that's as big of a factor. I think people just like assume like when I see an MD or a DO behind someone's name, I don't look at them automatically and just I'll put it this way. I the respect I'm giving them, it comes from a place of hard work. But to me, it's not about the intellect.
Okay.
Right? I don't think about that. I'm not saying they're not smart, but I think there's like a separating factor between the two things.
I shadowed a doctor about a couple of years ago, and she told me the same thing. She was like, in order to get into med school or graduate from med school, you don't have to be the smartest kid, but you do have to work hard. So
Exactly. And so I think like, that's about it. And like, I think it's also, there's a deeper point there too, where it's like, I'm not just going to respect you because you're a med student,
Yeah.
you know, in the same way, I don't want you to respect me just because I'm a med student. I think, there are, like in any profession, there are people that are really rude people and like good people, you know,
Like good
you know what I
people,
mean?
bad people.
Yeah. So I think like making that, a big part of that identity, I think is just a dangerous game to play. But yeah, that's my answer to that. I feel like.
I think we nailed it. I was actually very interested. I never heard that take from you.
yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah,
I don't know, I think I
Learning
never-
something about each other too
Yeah,
today.
that was a very interesting take.
I don't know. I don't think I've articulated until you
No,
asked the
yeah.
question. You guys asked some good questions.
Yeah,
I feel like
Appreciate it.
that's what
So
came to mind.
kind of like based off of that, y'all's content, like again, you'll talk about lifestyle, right? You have a lot of lifestyle content in a space of social media where everything feels ingenuine. How do y'all stay true to yourselves?
Like in terms of like, and when you say ingenuine, do you mean like scripted? Like what? do you
Yeah,
mean
like
by
scripted content. You know how social media is always
Right,
there's a
right.
fake aspect, right? The
Right, right.
scripted. I feel like y'all's content, like y'all's, it's planned, but it's always feels genuine. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
ingenuine when I'm watching it.
I think.
There is. Go on.
No, I was gonna say I don't think we make any conscious effort with social media. I think we were talking about this a little bit off camera. I feel like who we are as people, we try to stay true to that in every facet of our life. So it's almost like social media is like just kind of an extended part of that. To a great large extent. Obviously, like you said, there's scripting and planning that goes into things, but that's how I feel. Like I don't like when I'm working with like. I don't know, like when I think about Medschoolboiz, like and working with Aaron, like I'm not thinking about it all the time as like this professional entity. It's like, oh, this is a good friend of mine that we're doing stuff with, right? So I think that's why it comes off the way it does.
I think the nature of us just having fun with it and like just making videos about whatever we think is like a part of our lives just comes off as genuine. Naturally, when we were making a video, it has to be like scripted in some way to deliver something that's digestible for the audience.
Yeah.
But at the basis of what comes from that is the genuine side that we want to show.
Like y'all trying to have fun with it, and
Exactly,
it's not exaggerated. One thing I've
exactly.
always realized is a lot of content creators exaggerate their content to make it like more appealing, but y'all's just personality, right, is just shining through, and that's kind of what like
Yeah,
is
like
fun
if I were
watch.
to introduce Aaron to someone, right? Unless it's like purely like a business meeting, that's even in a business meeting or whatever, I'll be like, oh, this is my good friend Aaron.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say this is my colleague and med school boy Aaron. You know what I mean? So I think like that frame of mind, like, is what allows us to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, what I've seen is like we've seen y'all on camera, like doing your videos and stuff, and we have talked like off camera too, and y'all are exactly the same. Like there's no, you guys are not hiding anything.
Anything,
It's
yeah.
just like you guys are just
That's
putting
that-
yourselves out there.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest compliment that we
Yeah, I
honestly could
appreciate
receive.
that.
Like that means a lot to us.
All right, let's move on to the next segment.
So this next segment is gonna be a rapid fire fun questions.
All right, let's do it. Let's
Whatever
do
comes
it.
to your head first, just say it out loud.
Like
that's all.
one word, a couple, like a phrase, or
You can say like a
Anything.
sentence or phrase.
Okay.
Yeah, sentence. Like
Whatever
just
you were
don't think about it too much.
yeah. All right.
Okay, so the first question is, what's one med school bad habit that you plan on leaving before you enter your residency?
Unhealthy eating habits
Oh,
at
I
certain
was gonna
times.
say that. I was
Yeah.
yeah.
You gotta come up with something else.
Cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I come with. I was dang it. Holy crap.
Putting you on the
I would
spot.
say I would say fitness for sure.
Fitness.
Like I think when I got into my fourth year, I was able to get back into like my working out grind and whatnot, and get
Yeah.
back in like my physical shape I was before I started med school. So I would say fitness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eating better.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
another thing. Yeah.
So if Medschoolboiz was a Netflix show, what would the first episode be called? It's an interesting one.
Oh my god.
Oh shit, here we go.
I gotta think. Oh,
that's
my
a-
God.
Think of like
That's
Grey's
a good
Anatomy,
one.
right? Like think
Huh?
of Grey's
Oh
Anatomy,
my
your first
gosh.
episode. Like what would it be called? Like your first day in med school.
I think that's what it would be. Like
Oh,
no,
shit,
like
here
oh
we
shit,
go.
comma, here we go, dot.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
That's oh shit, here we go.
Yeah. No, oh shit, comma, here we go, dot.
The dot story is
Yeah.
like.
I don't know why, that
important.
just fits for me.
Man, that's such a hard question. I'm trying to think of something. It's like since I'm so creative, I want to think of something creative, but like since it's so like constricted, it's like I would give like a
No, I
terrible
mean, you
answer.
said, hey, whatever
whatever
comes. I'm
comes
telling you
to
what comes to
mind.
mind.
Say it
I'm just
out
telling you
loud.
what comes to mind.
I was like, I think for me it would be like question dot question mark. I don't know, just because we had like, but that was like the most terrible like episode title that I could think of. But that's the first thing.
No, that's fine.
No,
Because
we
we
love
did,
that.
like,
We love
questions
that.
or
It's the first thing that
whatnot.
comes to your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So who needs more takes to film a video, Aaron or Surya?
Probably you, but not by much.
Takes to make a video.
Takes more,
Like-
more takes.
Ooh,
Ooh.
we're pretty good,
I
honestly.
think we're both the same, but I think he's very much the more well-spoken one in terms of.
Nah,
videos
I
and
wouldn't say
whatnot.
that.
But I feel like because you're most well-spoken, you're more articulate. You want to spend time to make sure
well,
what you're saying.
I would
is
say
right, so you take more takes.
longer form videos like that. I feel like I usually get it in fewer takes, but on the shorter form stuff, skits, like I gotta sell. Aaron, actually no, I feel like overall I need more takes because like
Yeah,
sometimes
that's what I was gonna
when
say.
we're selling something, like Aaron will be like, no, you got your facial expressions got to be like this, man, you know, like or something like that. But it's usually with our comedic skits, you know.
Yeah.
No, I don't-
Yeah,
Like directing them pretty much.
yeah. No, I'll probably take the answer. I'll take that one. I need more takes for sure.
Okay. So do you think social media is a curse or a blessing?
In my opinion, blessing.
Yeah, I think it's whoever you ask that question to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
it's like different
is
for
a is a
everybody.
is a knife a good thing or a bad thing? Well, if it's in the
It
hands of a
depends on how you
chef,
use
right?
it.
A chef
Yeah,
can use it to
exactly.
cook a meal, and someone with bad intentions can use it to hurt someone,
Exactly.
right? I think it's a blessing.
Great answer.
I think it's a blessing.
Actually,
Yeah.
I had one more. Kind of bring up like the 100 versus 1 gorilla. Now y'all are residents, been through med school. Who's winning, 1 gorilla or 100 men? I feel like we gotta ask this.
You know
I'm
what,
going with
man?
100 men.
I'm going with the
Thank-
gorilla.
Let's go.
Oh, really? You
Thank
think so?
you.
You think
bro,
so?
Imagine. Okay, let's say if you had actual like medics. It depends on the people who are there. If you have like people that are like, okay, it's all the mindset. It's also depending on the mindset of these people. It's like do or die. Like,
Plus,
Yeah.
like gorilla, that's
adrenaline.
like 8
Imagine
people.
all the adrenaline running. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna die regardless.
Might as well
do
fit
something,
those
right?
fine, yeah.
There's 100 people at the
Like,
same
where
time.
am I gonna go? I ain't gonna
I
die.
mean-
This gorilla's gonna probably kill.
You're
For
For
right.
sure,
I
there
don't know,
will be
man.
sacrifices.
Yeah.
Of course.
We had the
Like,
same
first
argument,
21st
so it's-
Oh,
person.
are you one gorilla?
I was one gorilla, but then he made some points, and I was like, no, that's
Like
fair.
scientifically, right? If 100
Yeah.
people jump on a gorilla,
There
100
will
people
be
are
some
gonna win.
deaths.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I remember going to the Houston Zoo, and like as a little kid, like you stare, like the gorilla was
Yeah.
right near the glass, and I was staring at that. You know, I was staring at him. I should say, not that thing. Like I was staring at him, and I was like, man, like that's like I think that image is so entrenched in my
No,
mind
for
that I'm
sure.
like, nah, there's no way, bro. There's no way.
There's this one point that when one of our friends made, he was like, a gorilla is not a predator, you know?
Yeah,
it's like
it's a
you can-
herbivore, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so-
you can take on him. I mean, there will be
He
like
won't try to like eat you.
probably
necessarily.
half of us would go down.
Bro, if the
But-
gorilla saw like it's like if the gorilla saw 100 like human beings staring at him, like the gorilla's probably like intimidated too.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
damn, I gotta take
It's
100.
Hey,
right.
but there's that video of like, remember the video of Harambe? You know, where he's like pulling the.
That's,
Yeah.
one, that's one kid though.
That's
a
one
kid.
That's
yeah,
one
that's
kid.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
100
Imagine,
men.
imagine 100 grown men staring at this like
Yeah, I
beast,
guess,
and the
I
beast is
guess.
like, dang, bro.
Damn,
we got,
bro.
like,
All right, you got me.
we got, like,
You got me.
Schwarzenegger,
You got
we
me.
got, like,
He changed my perspective.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad
Hey,
we
but
got that
medicine's
out.
about being open-minded, you know. So
Exactly.
there we go.
All right. So our last segment before we finish it off is about like just basic advice to like the people watching the podcast. So many students right now, they may be feeling lost or discouraged because of the burnout and like the most like the difficult studying style of pre-med and medical school. What's one advice y'all would give to someone who's on the verge of quitting right now?
I would say don't. I remember I took the MCAT twice, and I've spoken about this numerous times on the page. I hate that exam. I remember getting my score the first time, and I was like really having identity crisis. Like, hey, is this? Am I really cut out for like med school? Like, can I really do it? But I like so like now let me like lock in and just take it the second time, and I locked in and got a good enough score to apply to med school my second time, and like here I am. So if you can't imagine yourself doing anything else, and just because you run into a mishap or an obstacle, just lock in, analyze where you went wrong with that, and just come out better on top, so you can get to where you need to be.
Great.
I would say a lot of med school, and a lot of the education system at times is a means to an end. What you do and what you learn and how you go about, especially your first few years of med school, does not like. This is not me trying to like make people feel better. It genuinely does not correlate with what it takes in the real world to be a good physician. I think we've seen that. I think the skill set that it requires to be like a great physician, right, is not related to scores. Like this is not even me. Like I'm not trying to make anyone feel better here. This is just like I'm trying to make this as objective as I can. I mean, it's technically my opinion, but
just sharing your experience.
Yeah, like the baseline knowledge, like you're gonna get that. Like most people will get that through like the reps of residency, right? Yeah. But how you treat people, like your attitude towards people, what you value, like those are things that are gonna separate you. It's like I use the analogy, like you look at Tom Brady, right? That guy had a horrible, like, you know, for football fans out here, that guy's draft combine was so bad. Nikola Jokic in the NBA, bro. Like that guy got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. You know what I'm saying? 41st pick, I think, in the NBA. If you look at the guy's stats, right? Yeah. I mean, he's a tall guy, but like doesn't MVP, 3-time MVP, right? Like what it takes to succeed, like in the NBA, right? Like just understanding the game, like things that can be measured in the draft combine. Same thing with medicine, like your score and your grades. That's like, to me, that's just draft combine stuff. It doesn't mean nothing. Like clearly, if you have like good scores and you've done well, you've got hard work and intellect, great. But like what it takes to succeed in the real world, as a doctor, that can't be measured in the same way. So just remember that when you're going through the grind, like I feel very fortunate that I had really good people in my life to like kind of guide me through that. Cause like when I was taking the MCAT, I'm like, it wasn't, this determines like what I am. It's, I just got to get through this, man. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever my score is, I just got to get in, you know what I'm saying? Or even in med school, like, again, like I knew what my goals were. I knew I wanted to at some point do internal medicine. I'm like, I don't have to have like the highest scores, right? The programs I want to be at, I know what they value, and like that's what I got to show. So I think it is a means to an end. And like, again, a lot of people don't make that distinction in their head. They're just like, oh, my score determines like how good of a student I am or how good of a doctor. It's all, I'm going to say it again, it's all shit. That's all like just does not mean anything.
I agree.
Excuse my language, but it had to be said. So I would just say that you're what it takes to succeed and achieve your dreams. That skill set is not measured as easily as people think it is.
So like another, I guess, advice people want is whenever you're starting a passion project, kind of what y'all did, how we're doing this podcast, is what advice would you give on like how to start and how to go about it?
Just start.
Just start.
Have fun with it. For sure, have fun with it, and don't have any expectations. Yeah. I have this conversation with a lot of people, like after we started this for like year one. It's like, Aaron, how do you amass a following like you did? It's because we didn't expect anything. You'll see on like social media, all these content gurus like, oh, you need to make videos like this or whatnot, and like how and advice on it. But I feel like if you get caught up in how to like improve your content and like the analytics from like day one of making content, you're gonna burn out and it's not gonna be enjoyable.
It's not fun. Yeah.
Just make the videos or content because you had an idea and you thought it would be fun. Yeah. Go through it and enjoy watching the videos that you make, and maybe it'll just naturally grow from the fun that you're having with zero expectations.
Yeah. And kind of how we talked about it off camera, but how me and Usman started, like 2 years ago, we were just talking about starting a podcast. Yeah. And like after we graduated, we were like, you know what? We're just going to do it. We're going to hop on it. And we kind of just started. And for us, it wasn't about the views or like how many like followers we're getting. It was more about we love doing this. Yeah. We like being on camera, bringing on cool people to bring on. Yeah. And it's amazing, like, networking for us. Right?
Yeah, and, like, I it's good because even when you guys reached out to us, like, the first thing we did when I look at your page, right, I didn't even look at the following number. I just was looking through the content. Same thing that you said, like, oh, these guys seem passionate. These guys seem energetic. Like, their content quality is high, right? Like, that's the stuff that matters, right? So, yeah, I mean, you asked about advice. Listen to the haters, you know what I'm saying? Like, your haters sometimes tell you the best ways to improve, you know? Yeah. Don't listen to how someone says something, like, what are they saying? Yeah. You know? So
I was gonna say, like, you were asking about very much the beginning stages. Like, that advice also applies even when you amass a following and when you have even at maybe like the end of like when you have like a huge following to where you want to be at. Like, I already know, like, I'm already like today or maybe like in a week gonna make like a video about like my car and how it got me through 4 years of med school. Yeah. In my head, well, I know like, oh, this video is probably not gonna perform as well as the other videos we put out. Maybe it won't even like perform as well as like or maybe a video from 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. But do I care about that? No, because I get to watch it and be like, this is a fire video. I liked making it. I could care less about the
and like,
analytics or whatnot.
and Aaron does a good. I just want to. I don't even know if this is answering a question, but I just want to give a shout out to you because Aaron does a good job of like taking his ego out of things. Like we have a team of 9 guys, right? And even though all of us are involved to varying degrees, like Aaron values the opinions of each of these guys, right? And so and that's another thing. When we post content, it's not just I'm making content and posting it. A lot of times there is a discussion about, is this good, guys? Like, do you think it's going to be okay? Like, are we, we go through a whole process of doing it, and he really takes his ego out of it. So shout out to him for that.
Amazing. So Aaron, Surya, this was amazing. Thank you for being so real and coming over at our podcast and being a part of it.
No, thank you guys.
It's been nothing
thank you guys
but
so much.
great talking to you guys and getting to know
thank you,
personal stories of you two. So before we let you go, where can people, I know there's Medschoolboiz where people can follow through your stuff, but where can people follow with what you guys are doing personally in your residency?
Yeah, I would say Medschoolboiz is the place to look, but we also have personal Instagrams. Mine is just my first name dot my last name. You'll be able to find me through the Medschoolboiz. If people have questions, I'm always happy to. Sometimes my response time is delayed at times, but happy to answer any questions if people have it. The pre-meds. I'm a big voice memo guy, so sometimes I'll send a quick 1-minute voice memo.
Yeah, I mean, you can tag her answer.
We'll tag it.
Yeah.
And then this is episode 4 of the Dreamers. And first, thank you guys so much. And please like, subscribe, and share. We're trying to showcase as many stories as possible and bring content for you guys. All right, thank you so much.